beautiful. They're so good. Hi everybody, welcome back to Marie's Kitchen. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're making pumpkin scones in the air fryer. I had several requests for these after I posted my apple cinnamon air fryer scones last week. So worked on these all weekend and now I'm really excited to share them with you. Let's get started. Okay, hopefully she's done. All right, to start, we're gonna start with 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Next up is 1.5 teaspoons baking powder. And my goodness, do not use accidentally baking soda. Over the weekend when I was testing these scones on one batch, I used baking soda instead of baking powder. And my kids were literally spitting them out in the trash can. Okay, next is 1/4 teaspoon salt. Next up is 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. I tried one version of these using just, pumpkin pie spice, and I'll tell you, I don't know if mine is just old, but it's just not as flavorful as using your own separate spices. So I'm just not a huge fan of pumpkin pie spice. So we're doing individual spices here. We've got our cinnamon. Next is 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, if you like nutmeg. Next is a pinch of cloves. So just a little pinch in there for some nice fall flavor. Now the next ingredient is, of course, pumpkin, and this is definitely not pumpkin pie filling, the already sweetened kind. You don't want that, you want pumpkin puree. And the thing about pumpkin is that it has a lot of moisture in it, and I find the flavor of just the canned pumpkin is a little bit bland. So to solve both of those problems, all the moisture and the bland flavor, what we're gonna do is cook it down a little bit, reduce it by about half. So that's really gonna concentrate that pumpkin flavor, and also it will reduce the moisture so we're not watering down our scones. So I have 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree, and we're just gonna put that in a little skillet and take that over to the stove. Now I'll put the heat to about medium, and then I just like to spread out the pumpkin a little bit to let as much moisture release as fast as possible. But this does take about 10 minutes to cook down, so make sure you allow time for that. So you want to reduce it by about half. So what you're going for from 1/4 cup is about 2 tablespoons. There's 1 and 2. Okay, so we'll set that aside for a minute. Now for the liquids, the great thing about this scone recipe is that you don't have to work in any butter like you do in a pie crust. And that's why I love this recipe so much. We just use heavy cream, which has enough fat in it to give the richness of scones. So all you do is we're gonna take 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And you do want to be careful not to over measure the liquid. I mean, as with any recipe, but in this recipe, because it is small batch, if you go over on the liquid, it's going to make the dough really sticky. I had a few people mention that they had that issue. So be really careful when you're measuring the flour, which is 1 cup or 140 grams, and then the liquid, which is 8 tablespoons, 1/2 cup or 120 milliliters. So we'll add our cream to a little bit bigger bowl, and then 3 tablespoons brown sugar. I use a little more sugar in this recipe. I think it just goes really well with the pumpkin to have it be a little bit sweeter. And you probably know this trick, or maybe you know another one, but my kids told me this one: when my brown sugar gets really, really hard and is hard to use, you can throw a marshmallow in there and that will soften it up again. Do you have another method to keep your brown sugar soft? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your other tricks in case we don't have marshmallows, you know? Okay, so next is a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I love vanilla. It's intoxicating. Then we can add our pumpkin. And give this a good whisk. You want to mix in the brown sugar, mix in the pumpkin, so it's nice and smooth. That looks great. It looks so good, I have to just try a little taste. Oh my gosh. That is so good. We've got to do more things with this. Yum. So much pumpkin flavor, it's delicious. All right, next we'll take our dry ingredients and add our wet. And then stir just to combine. I'm going to take a little flour on my hand and just kind of bring this together. I'm just kind of wiping up any dry ingredients left in the bottom of the bowl. Now we'll dust a little flour on a cutting board here. And I'm just going to shape it into a round circle, about 6 inches in diameter. If it happens to feel really sticky at this point, just dust a little flour and use a little flour in your hands as you're working with it. And then of course a little flour underneath. Okay, always measure with my knife. This is a 7-inch blade, so that looks to be about 6 inches. All right, I'm gonna give my hands a rinse. All right, now we'll cut these in half here. And then half again. And then each quarter into 2 more scones. Okay, there we go. Now we'll add a little bit more heavy cream to the same container. And then the fun part, we'll just take a little pastry brush and brush that on top. And next, if you like, a little bit of raw sugar on top. That gives a little extra crunch and a little extra sweetness, since overall these are pretty mildly sweet. Now to cook these, we're gonna use my Instant Pot Vortex 6-quart air fryer. And I love this air fryer. It's good quality, it's powerful, but it's also very quiet. So it's probably the 4th or 5th air fryer that I've had over the years, and this is definitely my favorite. So I highly recommend it. I'll put a link in the description box if you're interested in learning more. And of course, feel free to leave comments if you have questions. What I'm going to use is a perforated parchment that it fits in the air fryer. If you don't have that, you can cut out a piece of foil that fits in there, or a piece of parchment. It doesn't have to be perforated, so don't worry about that. But I was happy that I found these. I lost them for a little while. You know how that goes. You put it somewhere where you won't forget, and then you completely forget where you put them. That's what happened with these. Now we'll just set these scones right on top of the parchment, alternating so that there's plenty of space. Then we'll just insert the basket, touch air fry, touch time, and we'll adjust that to 11 minutes. And the temperature is going to be 350 degrees. And then we'll press start. All right, I'll see you in about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, the air fryer's done. Just open it up, and wow, they look gorgeous. Hopefully you can see them. Oh yeah, you can. Look how nice and golden they are, with a little sparkle of sugar on top. Really, really wonderful. And that looks so nice. I can't wait to try one. I'm gonna set those on a wire rack here just to let them cool. It's always better to let them cool on a wire rack so you're not building up a lot of moisture underneath, and that'll make them kind of soggy on the bottom. So the parchment worked wonderfully. I can put a link in the description box for the parchment as well if you'd like to try that. Really nice that it's perforated so you get some air circulation underneath. Now we'll set these aside and let them cool a little bit. We can put some icing on them, which is really fun and easy. It's just 2 ingredients. So we'll do that in just a minute after they cool. And then I did have a lot of questions about making a gluten-free version of these scones. So I do want to show you a gluten-free version real quick. Now, I've been making these scones for years, and I have made them gluten-free since the very beginning, or, you know, both. I've tested both versions, so I know you can do gluten-free. I haven't tried it with this gluten-free cut-for-cut flour, so I thought I'd test it out with this flour. I had really good luck with this flour with my gluten-free pie crust, so I'm gonna try it for the scones, and I'm testing it out in real time, so we'll see how it goes. We'll start with 1 cup of the cut-for-cut gluten-free flour. Next is 1½ teaspoons baking powder and also the 1/4 teaspoon salt. Cooking's a lot easier when everything's all measured out for you, right? That's what I always think when I look at cooking shows. Well, it goes a lot faster when you've got it all measured out and somebody cleaning in the back and one that's ready in the oven, right? Not really the case over here. Okay, this is our 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, and pinch of cloves. We'll just give this a quick toss. Now we'll do the wet ingredients. We've got our 1/2 cup of heavy cream, then 3 tablespoons packed brown sugar, and then our 2 tablespoons of the pumpkin that we cooked down on the stove so it's more concentrated and less watery. And finally, a little bit of vanilla. We'll give this a quick whisk and then add the liquid to our dry ingredients. And then we'll bring this together. Now we'll take a little of the gluten-free flour and sprinkle it on our cutting board here. A little on my hands. Now we'll press it out into our 6-inch circle. Then we'll cut it in half, rotate, and half again, and then into our little scones here. If it gets a little sticky, you can either wipe it or get a little flour on there. Now we'll get a little more heavy cream here and paint that on top. Now we'll take our sugar in the raw and sprinkle that on top. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll take our perforated parchment, throw that in the bottom of the air fryer, and then add our scones. Oh, that bird is beeping in there. There's a construction truck beeping outside, and I think she is mimicking that. It's really funny. Now these go in the air fryer at 350 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. All right, well, those finished cooking. Let's make our little icing. I'm gonna use 1/2 cup powdered sugar because I'm doubling this since I'm making 2 batches. Then we'll use 1/2 teaspoon milk, and we can add a little bit of vanilla, and then we'll just give that a whisk. You can see this is a little bit too thick, so we're gonna add just a touch more milk. Just add a little bit at a time because a little goes a long way. All right, that looks great. Now let's take a look. Wow, impressive. These puffed up even more than the all-purpose flour. I may even like them better. I did not expect this result. Wow, those are gorgeous. Look at that. Looks so good. Now we can drizzle on a little icing. I just use like a fork or a spoon, and I'll do the cooler ones over here first. Oh, that might be a touch too thick. Let's add a little more. There we go, that's good. Now I have to try both. Of course I want to try a warm one. Looks so good. I can't wait. Oh my God. They're so good. That is delicious. Now we'll try the all-purpose flour one. Can't wait. Also delicious. Really, really good pumpkin flavor. Yum. These are, because they're cooked in the air fryer, they're kind of crispy on the outside and then so soft and delicious in the middle. All the spices are so flavorful and just right. I can't wait for you to try these. For the recipe, head over to my website, marieseva.com. There you can print out this recipe and all of my recipes, and if you like, put them in a notebook and make your very own Marie's Kitchen cookbook for free. Now, it may take me a couple days to get this recipe up, so if you don't see it on my website quite yet, check in the description box below and I'll have the recipe there for sure. Sometimes it takes me a few days to get it over to the website. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. Also, leave me a comment, let me know if you're gonna try these. I can't wait to hear from you. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications. That way you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. I hope you learned that with the right ingredients and the right techniques, making homemade air fryer pumpkin scones are easier than you think. All right, I'll see you next time. Coco, how are you doing, girl? Huh? What you doing? Huh? Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Want to get up on your couch? Who's a good girl? Oh, you have your little dolly. There she is. Oh, my goodness. This is her little dolly. She plays with it, but she doesn't destroy it like her other. It's her little teddy bear. It's so cute. Oh, my goodness, you're so cute. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.